You're listening to the More Than the Music podcast, episode 30, Christmas edition, featuring Lauren Daigle.
I was obsessed with video cameras and learning about technology and all that when I was a little girl. And my parents got me a video camera when I think I was like 10 years old. And I remember that was my future. That's what everything revolved around. I would walk around filming everybody. I don't know why this was so special to me, but at a young age, I remember thinking, I've got to document every conversation I have with all of my friends because I need to know what I've talked about when I'm like 50 years old. Anyway, now my whole life is documented, so it's kind of funny. God has a sense of humor.
You're about to hear why Lauren Daigle was so passionate and nervous about making a jazz Christmas album, why a radio in her laundry room is so special to her, what hashtag Don't Wake the Baby has to do with the record, and why someone actually laughed at one of the songs when she first played it for them. I'm Justin Paul, along with Lauren Daigle, and we're going to talk about a lot more than just the music.
More Than the Music is hosted by Justin Paul, a touring musician turned national radio personality who loves the dramatic, humorous, sometimes tragic, and often inspiring story behind the songs from your favorite artists. You can connect with the show at wayfm.com/Justin. Now here's your host, Justin Paul.
Merry Christmas! I am so excited to be joined by Miss Lauren Daigle to talk about her brand new Christmas album, Behold a Christmas Collection. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yay! Thanks for letting me be here. I appreciate it.
What was Christmas like for you as a kid? Because it's different for everybody.
Oh, well, it was very hot. It wasn't very cold.
Yes.
I'm from Louisiana, and every piece of our family is involved with food in some way. So basically, my grandparents, great-grandparents, aunts, uncles, dad, everybody, mom would jump into the kitchen and cook till 2 a.m. And it was the best time. They would throw on music, we would dance, we would laugh, we would sing. And we have this one tradition in our family to play this card game called Rook. And it's very intense. When I was a little kid, they're like, don't come next to the table. Lauren, you know this is only adult zone. Because they would play, and it wasn't like involving money or anything, but they would play cards till 5 a.m. It was just so much fun. Now I'm the one that's like,
now you're at the table. You're finally at the table.
I made it. I made it to the table.
I grew up in South Georgia, so we didn't have white Christmases. Mm-hmm. It was hot, just like Louisiana was. It'd be like 75 degrees on Christmas morning. You're like, thanks, Grandma, for this sweater I can never wear. You know,
yep.
Like, it's
that's
so
exactly.
hot.
I think there was like one time where we had just some snow flurries, but by the time it hits the ground, it melts. So it's not even real.
Yeah, that's what South Georgia snow was.
Yeah.
They would shut down schools at the idea of flurries just because no one's ever seen it before.
Yeah, they would do that for us because I guess mud tires don't work in snow. I don't know.
That's all you have in Louisiana is mud tires. Your new Christmas album, wow, I've listened to this. It's like a classic New Orleans jazz feel to Christmas, which is really cool. If you haven't heard this Christmas album, obviously we're talking about it here today, but you got to get this thing. This is a really great project.
Oh, thank you so much. I was kind of reluctant coming into it. They said, Lauren, can you do a Christmas record? And I said, no, absolutely not. Why would you ever ask me? And they said, Lauren, please, will you do a Christmas record? And I just sat down and started thinking about what does Christmas sound like to me? What is that iconic sound that every time I look back on memories and nostalgia, this is the sound that comes up, you know? And it was New Orleans jazz. Just being from South Louisiana, I was from Baton Rouge and Lafayette, but I was always in New Orleans. And you go down there and you can hear the saxophone bouncing off the walls in the French Quarter, and you meet so many people. They all have stories, and it's just such a rich heritage. So going down and thinking about this Christmas project, I said, there's no other way. I have to do it. New Orleans jazz. And I'm just really excited. I'm excited that they allowed it.
You know, I'm a person who I usually don't like listening to Christmas music or any of that stuff till after Thanksgiving. Yeah. I don't know if you're like a before or after Thanksgiving girl, but I started listening to this. Oh, okay, good.
I'm an after girl.
I started listening to this before Thanksgiving, and it really did help me get in the Christmas spirit, even though I really didn't want to.
Oh,
you know,
come on.
It's not even Thanksgiving yet. Like, let's save it.
I know. That's why when I walk in and it's like July and they're already putting Christmas decorations up in like all of these places, I'm like, why can't we wait? Just wait. Savor the moment.
Thanksgiving's a holiday too.
Yes, I love Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I get to eat again.
This is the time of the year where like none of my clothes fit because I've just pigged out on everything
Yes.
from Thanksgiving to Christmas. So as I'm pushing this tight jacket together as we speak.
That's why I just wear big baggy sweatshirts and scarves.
It fit before Thanksgiving, I think. When did you start writing this project? Because when do you get in the mode of Christmas to release a Christmas record?
Christmas in July is a real thing in Nashville. Everybody is recording. Everybody's writing Christmas songs. These are standard classics. The only one that is written is Light of the World. And I actually wrote that with my producer and one of our friends, Paul Duncan. And I was sitting on the back porch in very hot July of Louisiana. I Skyped into my two friends in Nashville, and we wrote this song together. And it was all about that time span between the Old Testament and the New Testament. There's a 400-year stretch where there's nothing recorded. It says that the Lord was silent in that time. And I can only imagine the desperation of what the world must have felt. Mm-hmm. And so from there, we kind of started thinking about stories that we know here on this earth right now and how there's still that desperation. One of our friends had gone through a miscarriage, lost their voice, and they were a singer. That was their livelihood. They were a worship leader. And also lost their father, all within a really short time frame. And we just started thinking about that despair. And my producer came up with the bridge right then: for all who wait, for all who hunger, for all who've prayed, for all who wonder, behold your King, behold Messiah, Emmanuel, which basically is saying, like, here's this period of time, 400-year span of utter silence, and what broke through with hope was a cry of a baby. Something so innocent, something so delicate, but something so approachable. And here, after the cross, 2,000 years later, whatever, we're sitting here, and there's still this desperate need for the hope that is brought through Christ. Yeah. So we just kind of started paralleling those two things, and that's where Light of the World was brought in. So for everybody who takes on Christmas as a time of loneliness, or it's like a season that they have to push through, this is hopefully a song that just gives them hope one more time before the end of the year, and maybe speaks a little light into some dark places.
I know that song has to be special to you because this is kind of the first time we heard from Lauren Daigle on Way FM and radio around the country. And here it is, Christmas again. What are we, 2 years removed from that song?
Yeah.
They kind of broke Lauren Daigle on the scene.
It was crazy. Everybody thinks it's How Can It Be? And I was like, it's actually a Christmas song, which is so random. It's so random that Christmas is what broke through. This has happened almost every time, but we have a radio in our laundry room back home in Louisiana, and I walk through, and typically every time I'm walking through the laundry room is when I find out that a single has been released, because I hear it. And so the whole family runs into the laundry room. Are you hearing it? I'm like, it's the first time. It's the first time. And they're so excited because they hear it all the time, but I'm always backstage or running around doing something. And so they're like shaking me like, this is happening, this is happening. And I'm freaking out because it's just so weird hearing your voice.
The glamour of an artist. You hear your single for the first time in a laundry room.
Yeah.
Not in some like big studio or
No.
not like turning on some station that you've just arrived in the city, It's in a laundry room.
It's in a laundry room. Dirty clothes and washing machines. It's real life.
Why is the radio in the laundry room? Do you just hang out in the laundry room a lot?
Well, see, our laundry room connects to our kitchen. Like it's kind of tucked away, but it's connected to our kitchen. So I think it's like mounted underneath one of the cabinets.
So it's a fancy radio in the laundry room.
So they blare it in the laundry room and it floods into the kitchen as well.
The only way you're hearing Lauren Daigle singles now is when you go in the laundry room.
Yep, everybody.
Put your radios in your laundry room.
Yep.
And experience it just like Lauren Daigle
I guess
experienced
that's a
it.
Louisiana thing because I know a lot of people, maybe it's because we, play in the mud and go outside all the time or something that the moms are like, we're going to put the radio in here because we know we're going to be in here for a long time.
Our laundry room is just where we throw clothes. I don't want anyone going in there looking or hearing anything, What's this hashtag Don't Wake the Baby have to do with this album?
Yay.
What does it have to do with this?
Okay, so this is the whole premise of the record. This is kind of what it became as we were building it. So it's all this jazz sound, my iconic childhood sound. And as we're writing and, building the tracks and things like that, we started recognizing a trend, and we kind of positioned the record to be this way, where you start out the record with like the dinner party. Everybody's getting ready. There's lots of food in the air. Maybe they're doing those last minute preparations. People are starting to come into the house, that whole area of time.
You know how to throw a party.
Oh yeah. we love to party in Louisiana. And then towards the middle, you're sitting down for dinner. Everybody's enjoying themselves. It kind of gets a little softer so that you can have good conversation.
Dinner music.
Yeah. And then at the end of the record is kind of where the silence starts to begin. And it's the moment when the kids are falling asleep in front of the fire. The parents are grabbing cocoa or a beverage or whatever, and they're sitting down in front of the fire and having like heart to hearts with their friends that they're catching up with over like 10 years, And so the whole idea is that by the end of the record, it's a Don't Wake the Babies moment.
Okay. All right.
So it's called hashtag Don't Wake the Baby. We just want them to stay quiet and asleep right in front of the fire so that the parents can catch up.
So that the party can continue for the adults.
Yeah, so that the party can continue. And that, it's just the subtlety of Christmas. A lot of times we get caught up in the hustle and bustle and the commercialism and everything that goes on. But how often are we really taking time to just harness and sit and be present with our loved ones, be present with the people that we care about? And so the purpose of the record was for us to just kind of take a sidestep away from maybe the commercialism and like the pressure that the Christmas season brings, but instead to sit and be present, be still, soak up the awe and wonder of what he intended for us to enjoy in this season, and let those kids just sleep in heavenly peace.
Yeah. Well, you kick it off with probably one of the most iconic Christmas songs out there, Jingle Bells.
Yeah.
Why did you put this one first on the record, and why did you have to make sure this song was on the record?
Okay, so we started off the album so that the rest of the album didn't scare everyone. It was kind of like, okay, if we just put our stake in the ground and let everyone know from the start of the record that this is going to be a jazz record, then maybe the rest of the record is like really approachable and people can grab onto it, versus like, yeah, we'll kind of build people into it. No, I'm like all or nothing. Let's go
right in your face at the beginning.
There's like a trombone with a mute horn, and that's a sound that's really familiar to me. I grew up hearing that everywhere, but whenever my producer played it for his kids, they started laughing their heads off. They thought it was a joke. They thought something's wrong in the track, something's messed up, because they had never heard that sound before. So something that was like traditionally my childhood was like a shock factor to them. They were laughing their heads off, thinking, what is wrong? Somebody messed up really bad in the studio.
Oh my gosh.
Which is perfect. That's what it's supposed to bring. It's supposed to bring this like quirky, unfamiliar element, that is so iconic New Orleans. And so we kind of started off that way with Jingle Bells, just to invite people into what my childhood was like and the sounds that I grew up in and the things that I really, really care about.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Man, when you were a kid, what's something you got as a Christmas gift that really like brought Christmas to life for you? Was there ever a memorable gift, something you remember that still to this day that you got as a kid?
Oh yeah, there's quite a few, but I was obsessed with video cameras and learning about technology and all that when I was a little girl. And my parents got me a video camera when I think I was like 10 years old. And I remember that was my future. That's what everything revolved around. Back then it was cassettes. You had to put the tape in the side and then close it. And so I would walk around filming everybody. I don't know why this was so special to me, but at a young age, I remember thinking, I've got to document every conversation I have with all of my friends because I need to know what I've talked about when I'm like 50 years old. I need to know what was going on. I want to know what the tone of the room was. I want to know what was happening in our worlds, at that time. I don't know why that was so special to me, but filming my friends like sitting on my bed having conversations was like documentary style was really, really important to me. So anyway, now my whole life is documented, so it's kind of funny. God has a sense of humor. But that was a really big gift for me. And then the following year, I got an SLR camera. Then the following year, a DSLR, then lenses.
I have no idea what you're saying right now, but it sounds really fancy.
It's like different types of cameras. And so, like, it's like the cameras with the big lenses on it.
Yeah.
But it kind of was a statement to me because it showed me that my parents were willing to invest and support in my future. And that can come in all shapes and sizes, They were there for me. Even if there was no gifts, they were always there for me. So seeing that I was able to pursue creativity and pursue dreams like that was a really big deal to me at a young age.
Similar story. I don't know if you remember this from Home Alone, but he had a talk boy.
Yeah.
Do you remember the talk boy? I got one of those for Christmas.
Oh, come
one year,
on.
and I would interview everyone in my house.
Yeah.
And look what we're doing today.
Yes.
The talk boy I got for Christmas.
See, it's prophetic or something.
Right?
God just knows. He just makes it our little desires
I'd
in our
love
heart.
to find that talk boy, and because it was a cassette, like you were saying, and I would love to find it and hear some of the dumb stuff that I said to people.
I know. It's like it's so funny thinking about cassettes and stuff because I don't know if you know Chris Kilala, but he plays with Jesus Culture, and he sent out these cassette tapes with his new record, his new project, to some of his friends. He sent out like
They're
a
coming
cassette
back
with a Walkman.
Yeah.
And I like picked it up, and of course I had a Walkman when I was a kid,
Yep.
And I'm like trying to find the eject button, and then I realized, oh, you just pop it open, Lauren. Like, come on, get back into the 90s.
There's no
What's wrong
button,
with
you have to physically pull it open.
Yes, you have to open it up.
That is hilarious. The next song on the album, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Who doesn't want to have a Merry Little Christmas? And this is like another one of those iconic Christmas songs.
Yep, super iconic. That was also part of the like, okay, welcome everybody to the dinner party moment, And typically it's at the end of the record, but because of how I wanted the end of the record to end with silence and stillness, I was like, let's put this over to the front. And it was really fun to sing because it's like those warmer husky tones that I don't get to sing in a lot. Like, how can it be is the exact opposite? It's like the biggest
just
contrast,
wailing the whole time.
biggest juxtaposition to what this record is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas fun, was because I got to be kind of like sultry, and it was able to stay in that lower pocket of my voice that I love to sing in, but got to showcase on this record.
Yeah, what we've heard from Lauren Daigle so far is just the amazing range in First and How Can It Be and Trust in You, just wailing. But it's really cool to see there are other dynamics to your voice that we might not have heard yet that are on this record.
Yeah, it was actually a shock for me too. When I went into the studio, this is what I sing like a lot when I'm at home. Like before I ever moved to Nashville.
When do you not sing, Lauren?
I know. I love it. It's my heart just explodes all the time. But all of a sudden, I'm realizing there was this jazz soul thing that I like really craved. And when I was back in Louisiana, I would write stuff like this all the time. Or if I was just worshiping even or singing to the Lord or coming up with ideas, this is how I would sing. So walking into the studio, it was kind of like, this is my most vulnerable. Like, it's different wailing than it is like being really still and quiet and like intimate. And that was so intimidating. So especially doing jazz, it's like all the hard things combined. So I walk into the studio, and it was Silent Night was the first one we recorded. We started backwards. And I just remember thinking, I'm potentially about to make a really big fool of myself, because these people that I'm recording with are like pro jazz people.
And that's difficult to play. That's not easy to play.
Oh yeah, jazz is like caliber 900 on difficulty level. It's so hard. So I'm sitting there like, all right, I hope I make the cut. Because we just built this whole record, And all of a sudden they stop the track and they run in there and they're like, why haven't you sang like this ever? Like, why have we never heard this? What's wrong with you?
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight.
It's cool to see your excitement for your album. I even saw a video online where you took your family to Target to watch the display video.
I was freaking out.
Like, you're genuinely excited about this, which is amazing.
Yeah, it was because it was something so left of center. It was something so unexpected. Even for me, I knew that it was in me because it was like the record I've been dreaming to make. I love jazz. It's like the thing of my heart. Soul is that type of music is what I grew up on. And so I had wondered, am I ever going to get to do that? And so for it to be the second thing I put out, I'm like, oh my gosh, that happened a lot faster than what I expected. What in the world? But
that seems to be a trend with you.
Really,
Like,
I know.
things are happening pretty quickly for you.
It's kind of funny. It's like the humor I think God has with me. Like, oh, you think one thing, but your expectation's too low, Lauren. This is where I live.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, okay, I'm coming up.
So is the next record going to be another jazz record? What do you
I
think?
don't know. We're working on the next record right now. And I'm kind of in this tension of, what if I built a record where it's like pop version of How Can It Be, still have those elements, but collide it with like maybe jazz melodies or something different that kind of brings in that jazz element as well. I definitely don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
Especially
More
since
to
the
come.
world is introduced to it now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got these two very different sounds, but still Lauren Daigle.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see the combined. That'd be very cool.
Thank you. That means a lot.
That'd be very cool. The last song we're going to talk about is What Child Is This? Again, another iconic Christmas song that's on this album. Why do you love this one so much?
I love this one for the quirky elements. What Child Is This is typically heard really somber, and the words are so beautiful. Everything about that song it's intense when you think about it. It's just all about the birth of Jesus, which is so fun to sing about. In the making of the project, we were like, okay, we know that there's 1 million What Child Is This is out.
Yeah.
And what's something that we can do that's a little bit different? And so my producer was like, we should do this kind of like poppier, quirky rendition of this song. And it's so much fun to sing. When we sing it live, it's the one that you're like able to be kind of up with and kind of spicy with.
Dance a little bit.
Yeah, dance a little bit.
Yeah.
It's fun. And I think that's what Jesus intended. He intended for a celebration around his birth. He intended for the world to rejoice and come alive with excitement, you know? Getting to be playful with this song was something really, really fun.
This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Well, are you going back to Louisiana for Christmas? Is that where you're spending Christmas? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Will someone be waiting there under the mistletoe for you?
No. No, not exactly. Unless something happens within this
Because that's
tour.
the question we all want to know.
Oh, yeah. No, nothing's going on.
Well, thank you so
If
much.
there is, it'll be a big question mark for everybody
It'll
to
be
keep
a
having.
Christmas surprise.
It'll be a Christmas surprise.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you talking about the songs and sharing your heart. And it's really cool to see you genuinely excited about these songs. And thank you so much for doing an awesome Christmas project.
Thank
there
you.
aren't many of those out there, seriously. There aren't many awesome Christmas projects.
Thank you. I just wanted something that was timeless. So it means a lot that you enjoy it.
You've been listening to the More Than the Music podcast, episode 30, Christmas edition, featuring Lauren Daigle. If you've enjoyed this episode, or any others, would you kindly give the show a 5-star rating and review inside iTunes? Your 5-star rating and review would be greatly appreciated. I'm Justin Paul. To connect with the show and to even have a chance to win an autographed CD of Lauren Daigle's Behold a Christmas collection that was featured in this episode, just go to wayfm.com/Justin. Merry Christmas!